So then, car setups, the time-consuming side of sim racing that takes up more of your day than finding those exact settings for your force feedback or eliminating every last nanometer of flex on your sim rig. And one thing I've seen sim racers get asked a lot in hot lap videos is, what's your setup? Please show setup. Got the setup, and some of these guys do often put their setup at the end, or at least have a link to some sort of file on Google Drive or race department down in the description. Now, as the first paragraph of this video will have already pointed out, getting a setup is very time consuming, and unless you're a student, retired, unemployed, or you only work 4 days a week, you might have a bit of extra time compared to someone who works 8 till 4, then has to pick the kids up from childcare, cook dinner, and then be super dad, super husband, super boyfriend, or whatever. You want to race, but you've only got Tuesday night to even get some practice in, let alone do a race. And even then, you've got half an hour, tops. And you know the sweet summer fuck all as to what bump and rebound are and what to do to make the car do what you want it to do. It's why I put in about 400 laps just in pre-season testing for the, we'll forget that ever happened, second season of TC UK. And this is why paid setup services like Craig's Setup Shop, VRS and the Coach Dave Academy exist, to offer off-the-shelf setups for every single car relevant to the current version of the game, so it's always up to date and works with whatever physics and BOP has been applied. And since these things are subscription based like everything else is today, you've always got a supply of setups when you need them, and they've got a revenue stream. Both sides are happy. Well, that is until you open up Reddit to see what they think over there. Sheesh, it gets colourful. However, there is another reason why people will join a service like CDA or VRS to get setups, and that reason is, I need the same setup as everybody else to be competitive or as fast as the top guys. And it's this reason that forms the basis of this video. What makes these setups different rather than faster or better? And why should I pay €10 a month for them? Now, if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you'll know that I do a live stream every Sunday for the Potato Nation Sunday League, and in that series, for the first round of Season 1, we did the test race at Zandvoort just to make sure the rulebook worked in practice. And I used a setup that I'd just taken off some random hot lapper on YouTube as I took the cheap route to getting any old thing together and get driving, because, well, I was just being a lazy boy. And to my surprise, I won the race against the guy who won the series convincingly. And it's only one of 2 races I've won in this series where I've beaten the faster guys on merit and pace, and not because they spun off at Stavolo. Hi Bruno. So then you'd be forgiven for thinking, well, the free setup off YouTube was faster than the Coach Dave Academy, so these paid setups are just not needed, they're a scam, they don't matter. Well, yes and no. Well, definitely no to a scam, but it's actually a very difficult thing to put down into words and to actually get a video together because there's pros and cons to everything. And through talking to others in the sim racing world, the general consensus is if you drive how they want you to drive, they work. And that's a very fair point. Some would argue that paid setups mean that sim racing has gone pay to win, but this is the thing. If you're good, you're good. If you're slow, you're slow. It's like buying a £2,500 custom shop Fender Stratocaster thinking you'll sound like John Mayer. You're not going to do a lot with it if your technique is non-existent. And for a more context-friendly comparison, I have used Jensen Button's exact setup for races at Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Came 4th at Silverstone and 3rd at the Nürburgring. And even then at the Nürburgring, I needed the guy in 3rd to crash. Hi Bruno. So I thought I'd do some experimentation, stock ACC setups versus a CDA one. And as a disclaimer, this is just legal, I have to say this, Dave Perel, the top dog at the Coach Dave Academy, has given me free access to his library of setups to be able to do this video. So massive thanks to Dave, and the setups have been very useful in the Sunday night races I've been doing in ACC, which also allowed me to get research and thoughts and knowledge together to be able to do this video. And this coming Sunday, we'll be going to the seaside as we race at Zandvoort again. So I thought, that's the track we're going to be racing at, so I might as well do the test there. All to see where the potential benefits of these paid setups lie, and more importantly, what makes them different rather than being inherently faster, because we've already established if you're good, you're good. If you're not, even having Verstappen sim racing setups won't make you fast. So let's get on track and see why people might gravitate to these paid setups. And just for a bit of extra info to sort of make things fair here, track temperature was 30 degrees and the track rubber was set to fast, not optimum. So then you've got a bit more play in terms of the actual mechanical grip of these cars as well, and it's a little bit more noticeable than it is on optimal. And if you're doing league races and stuff, you might be in a situation where the track won't be optimal for the whole race weekend and you only have optimal for the actual race. So both runs done on 62 litres of fuel at Zandvoort. Let's get driving. Right, so coming through the final corner at Zandvoort, AdmiralLaWind corner, able to take it absolutely flat because of the amount of turning that's generated with this setup. Coming up over the start finish line to start the lap. I think this was the first actual time lap that I did in the car, just to get an initial impression. Braked hard for Tarzan corner, back end quite skitty under braking, a little bit tentative on the turn in and on the turn out as well, just not really feeling the car. Then into turn 2 here, back end getting a little bit slidey on exit and then hard on the brakes again for what is now a banked corner, or more banked corner for the Formula 1 cars, and just being like little micro corrections on the wheel, the back end just all the time, really not having a good time out there. So this bit nice and flat, this bit's just quite a lot of fun, and then you got to brake down a couple of gears for Sheliak or Skavlak or however this is pronounced. And then through this little section, car had a lot of turning on corner entry, wanted to slide a little bit mid-corner and then onto the exit of the corner as well, just the way that the car's set up. It's one of those ones where the car just wants to turn, like the back end just slides out, more esports friendly I guess, and then just that kick of oversteering gears and getting the power down up towards the chicane. Now this was the worst part of the track on this particular setup, slow speed turning, just not there. You might be able to see it, just, yeah, you don't want to turn, do you? Come on, get in, get in, get in. A lot of steering lock, a lot of front end sliding, but finally managed to get through and out the other side up to the second last corner. Maybe slack off the anti-roll bars a little bit. This corner was actually the most balanced. I didn't have a problem with that one, and then just flat out through this one, probably because the rake on the car is nice and high, and then across the line. So the last two corners, probably the only bits where the car felt normal, well at least to me anyway, and that's a thought to remember for the rest of the video. So that lap was a 1:37.8. So this then is the Coach Dave Academy setup. It just doesn't have the turn in for that final corner, maybe a little bit of lifting, or at least just get the car exactly in the right spot to be able to do the the actual turn in. But as we cross the line coming up to turn 1, I was able to brake slightly later and keep the brakes on harder and longer, so to get through turn 1, and I think I was already about 2/10 up just going through turn 1 alone. The car just felt a lot more stable getting through turn 2 here, getting that kick of oversteer, but maybe it's just because I'm mashing the throttle too hard on the corner exit on the less grippy track. Had to take a different line through 3, but there is a couple of different lines you can take through there, so I've just managed to just maximise the speed through this S-bend section, so didn't lose any time. I was actually gaining time all the way up. Coming up to Sheliak again, or yeah, I've just butchered the pronunciation. Car felt stable, a little bit more understeer through the fast corner there, but not too bad. And then through here you can see that the inputs are just a lot more confident. And it's just like, yep, that's where I'm putting the car, that's where it's going to turn, that's what it's going to do. And I think that's just the overall thing with it in this case. It's just I prefer a car that is a lot more neutral handling. A car that bites on the front, but the rear end is still nicely under control. But that twisty section in the middle section of the track, a lot easier for me, and then I'm able to brake much later for the chicane. It turns when I tell it to, it goes where I tell it to, and I'm just gaining loads and loads of time over that. It says I've done 9 laps at the top, but that's only because I was fiddling around with the tyre pressures to get everything set for the track conditions. But this is the first lap I've done on the setup, so this is like immediate difference between the two. Through AdmiralLaWind corner here, managed to get the line right, eat the curb on the exit, up towards the line, and we crossed the line to do, I believe it was a 1:37.1, so immediately 7/10 up after just 1 lap, because of that confidence. But is the CDA setup better, or is it just easier for me to drive? It certainly felt easier to drive, simple reason being that, well, you saw it in the footage, the rear end stepped out a lot less when I was putting the power down, and I hope it came across with the visual wheel on the screen, and also, seeing the way the car behaved between the two. I mean, you can go back and look at it and things like that. And as I mentioned a couple of times in the comparison there, stability and confidence. 7/10 in an instant because I wasn't, well, tiptoeing. But there are guys out there that drive twitchy as hell esports setups and drive on full oppo all the time, and there are lap records set by guys running that default base aggressive twitchy setup. But I just can't get there. With some time and getting used to the car and changing my driving style, sure, but if you don't have the time, well, me, I just like a stable car. And these setups are nice and stable, with some setup shops like VRS providing a stable and fast setup in their packages so you can decide what to do. Play it safe and be slower in a certain section of the track, or have something that's going to be quick but kill you if you get that little bit too much slip because it's just so twitchy. And what these setups do as well is give you a great baseline to change bits to suit. I need a tiny bit more turning for the chicane at Zandvoort, so maybe a click of rear ride height is an option, or change something on the diff, or do something to the anti-roll bars. But that's great. You don't need to do a lot to change it. The hard work has already been done for you. But if you aren't comfortable altering it, what's already there is brilliant. And in a race, you want something that's going to last the distance. And that's what these setups also allow, is get in and go. So why pay? Same way you, well, rather than me that is, pay someone else to cut your hair or fix your car. They're better than you at doing it. And there's that belief that paid equals quality rather than the free stuff on the net that you'll have to go about 4 or 5 before you find something that works for you. As could have easily been said at the start of the video, there isn't a definite yes or no as to whether these setups are guaranteed performance gains. As one person on Discord wrote, I've been using this particular brand of setups. They're esports ready, they feel really good, they're faster than the Coach Dave ones. But one person underneath that wrote, fact of the matter is, Simon and Pascal, who are the 2 fastest guys in the Potato Nation Sunday League that I do, will still be quicker than us even with the safe setup. And yes, I did find some pace between one setup and the other. I mean, you just saw it. But you'll have also seen that the way I like to drive the car isn't compatible with that twitchy baseline setup. It is, however, more compatible with the more stable Coach Dave one. But like I said, if I spent hours and hours and hours driving on just those baseline aggressive sets, I probably could get the same lap times as I was on the Coach Dave one. But I just don't have the hours required. So that's where I'm going to leave things over to you, the fellow sim racers in the room. Are the paid setups something that has worked for you, and what were your reasons? Do you not use them because of that argument that sim racing is paid to win these days, or are you just a setup god that can just do it on something that you just knocked up in 5 minutes? Let me know, because, you know, I don't really do sim racing stuff that much anymore. I thought this one would be an interesting one, and Coach Dave, thank you very much for helping me out on this one. It's been very, very useful and quite fun as well to test the setups at different tracks. But if you do have some thoughts, do leave them down in the comment leaving zone underneath this video and get a discussion going, because it is, after all, why I do these opinion pieces. And while scrolling down, if you did enjoy the video and learned something, or it gave you some food for thought, do give it an like. And if you want more stuff like this, or want to know when I'm streaming next for the Potato Nation Sunday League, then do subscribe and get the bell on so you never miss out. Massive thanks as ever to the good folk of Patreon, and if you do want to help support me on a more personal level when it comes to buying up images for Pressing Issues episodes and stuff like that, then the link to Patreon will be down in the description, as well as links to my socials and also to Discord. So until next time, I've been Aidan Millward, have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. Goodbye.